In a single day, the world grows a little quieter. 4 luminous souls, each a legend in their own field, and have left us, and in their absence, we feel the echo of what they gave. From sacred halls to soap sets, from soulful stages to the behind-the-scenes magic of casting, their stories shaped hearts and imaginations. Tonight, we pause time, draw in a breath, and remember. This is more than a roll call of loss. It is a gentle gathering, a tribute to the light they carried. Join me as we walk through their lives, their final moments, and the legacies they leave behind. 4 American legends who died today. The news arrived quietly this morning, the kind of news that makes you pause, take a deep breath, and remember what true devotion looks like. Jean Dolores Schmidt, lovingly known to millions as Sister Jean, has passed away. She was more than a chaplain. She was a symbol of hope, faith, and kindness. A woman whose smile could lift an entire stadium. For Loyola University Chicago, her presence was sacred. For basketball fans across America, she became an unlikely national treasure. Sister Jean's passing marks the end of a remarkable chapter, one written with compassion, laughter, and unshakable belief. Born in 1919 in San Francisco, Jean Dolores Schmidt entered the Sisters of Charity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, dedicating her life to service and education. She taught for decades, shaping young minds with patience and prayer. Her calm voice carried lessons far beyond the classroom, but it wasn't until her 90s that the world truly met her. In 1994, she became the chaplain for the Loyola Ramblers men's basketball team, a role that would define her in the eyes of millions. At an age when most people rest, Sister Jean found a new mission: to lift others through faith and sportsmanship. During the 2018 NCAA tournament, Loyola's miraculous run captured America's heart. At the center of it all was Sister Jean, dressed in maroon and gold, leading her team in prayer before every game. Her words weren't about victory. They were about gratitude, humility, and purpose. "We pray that none of us gets injured," she would say, "and that we play our hearts out for the glory of God." The cameras loved her, but what people truly saw was sincerity. Her joy was real, her wisdom effortless. Suddenly, this 98-year-old nun became a household name, appearing on talk shows, featured in national headlines, and even immortalized in bobblehead form. But fame never changed her. She often reminded people, "I'm not the team. The boys are. I just pray for them." As the years went on, Sister Jean remained an ever-present figure at Loyola. Even past her 100th birthday, she attended games in her wheelchair, greeting players and fans with warmth. Reporters marveled at her memory, her humor, and her unshakable optimism. When asked about her secret to longevity, she once smiled and said, "God isn't finished with me yet." That sense of purpose defined her life. Through every prayer, every speech, every handshake, she carried an unwavering belief in the good within people. To students, she was a mentor. To athletes, a guiding light. To the world, a reminder that faith can be joyful, not heavy, an energy that uplifts rather than divides. When news of her passing broke, tributes poured in from around the world. Loyola University released a statement calling her the heart and soul of the Ramblers. The university president wrote, "Sister Jean's spirit lives on in the halls she walked and the players she inspired. She showed us how faith can move not just mountains, but people." Former Loyola players shared their memories on social media. One post read, "She prayed with us before every game, no matter the score, no matter the odds. She believed in us more than we believed in ourselves." Another wrote simply, "Rest in peace, Sister Jean. You changed my life." The NCAA itself paid tribute, calling her a living example of faith and perseverance. Commentators reflected on how she brought unity to sports, a rare force that bridged faith, culture, and generations, even outside the basketball world. Her story resonated. Many saw in Sister Jean a reminder of humility and grace, proof that influence isn't measured in fame or fortune, but in the hearts you touch. Her image, hands clasped, eyes closed in prayer, became a universal symbol of peace. Friends who knew her closely spoke of her humor. She loved to tease the players, predicting game scores or joking about referees. "I think God lets us have fun," she once said. "He wants us to laugh." Her laughter, her prayers, her presence, they became part of Loyola's identity. The school's arena echoed not just with cheers but with her blessings. Students often said it felt different when she was there, as if the building itself had a soul. In her final years, she continued to write, to mentor, and to pray. She published a memoir titled Wake Up with Purpose, where she reflected on the lessons of faith, sports, and life. It became a bestseller, a testament to how her message resonated far beyond the campus gates. Even as her health declined, Sister Jean never stopped showing up. At 104, she still attended games, shaking hands and sharing smiles. Her resilience inspired millions who saw her as proof that age cannot dim purpose. Her passing leaves an emptiness, but also a shining example. Few people live long enough to see how deeply they've touched the world. Sister Jean did, and she did it with humility. In her memory, Loyola's campus bells rang softly, echoing through the autumn air. Students gathered to pray, some crying, others smiling, remembering her words. Don't pray for wins. Pray for goodness. Pray that we play our best and let the rest be God's will. That simple philosophy, spoken from a nun's heart, became her greatest legacy. As the sun sets over Chicago, we imagine her once more courtside, smiling, cheering, her rosary glinting beneath the lights. She leaves behind a lifetime of devotion, over a century of faith, and an unbreakable bond between spirit and sport. Sister Jean showed the world that miracles don't always come in the form of trophies or victories. Sometimes they come as a quiet smile, a kind word, a prayer whispered before the game begins. And though she's no longer with us in body, her spirit remains in the hearts of the Ramblers, in every fan who found hope through her faith, and in every soul she touched with kindness. Sister Jean will forever be remembered as more than a chaplain. She was the heartbeat of Loyola, a teacher of faith, a friend to all. May she rest in eternal peace, her light shining on, far beyond the final buzzer. It was a quiet morning in London when the news broke. British actor Tony Caunter, beloved for his long-running role as Roy Evans in EastEnders, had passed away at the age of 88. The announcement came from his family, who described him as a gentle soul, a devoted husband, and a man who lived his life with grace. For many, his passing marks the end of an era, a farewell to a face that felt like home on television screens across the world. Tony Caunter was more than a soap star. He was part of a generation of actors who brought warmth, honesty, and dignity to the small screen. Born in Southampton in 1937, Tony's love for acting began in the post-war years. After serving in the Royal Air Force, he pursued the stage, training in the craft that would define his life. By the 1960s, his career had taken off with appearances in classic British dramas like Z Cars, The Avengers, and Coronation Street. His ability to bring ordinary men to life with depth and heart made him a favorite among casting directors and audiences alike. Yet, it was his portrayal of Roy Evans in EastEnders that turned him into a household name. From 1994 to 2003, Tony played the kind-hearted car dealer who fell in love with Pat Butcher, a storyline that became one of the show's most cherished relationships. Roy wasn't the loudest or flashiest character on EastEnders, but he embodied something rare: decency. In a world of betrayals and drama, Roy Evans was steady, a loyal husband, a moral compass. Tony played him with quiet conviction, earning respect from viewers and critics alike. When news of his death spread, tributes poured in from colleagues, fans, and friends who had shared his journey. Actress Pam St. Clement, who played Pat Butcher, said in a heartfelt post, "Tony was a joy to work with. He brought calm to the chaos, kindness to every scene, and humor to every break. I will miss him deeply." Another co-star, Adam Woodyat, who has played Ian Beale since the show's beginning, wrote, "Tony was a true gentleman. Every young actor on set could learn from his professionalism and his heart." Fans, too, shared their memories online. One tweet read, "Roy Evans was the dad everyone wished they had. Honest, gentle, and kind. Rest in peace, Tony Caunter." Another wrote, "He didn't just act on EastEnders. He lived those moments with us." Outside of his soap career, Tony's acting resume was rich and diverse. He appeared in Doctor Who, Blake's Seven, and The Sweeney, leaving his mark on nearly every corner of British television. His performances carried an understated strength, whether he was playing a detective, a villain, or a father figure. Friends described him as humble, soft-spoken, and deeply devoted to his family. He rarely sought the spotlight, preferring quiet moments at home in East Sussex with his wife and children. Acting, he once said, was never about fame. It was about storytelling. In a 1999 interview, he reflected on his role as Roy Evans with his signature modesty. "I think people liked Roy because he was real," he said. "He tried to do the right thing even when it wasn't easy. Maybe that's what we all want, to be remembered as someone who tried." That humanity, both on and off screen, defined Tony Caunter's legacy. During his years on EastEnders, he helped shape the tone of the show's golden age. His chemistry with Pam St. Clement became one of the show's emotional anchors. Their story, two middle-aged people finding love and building trust, resonated deeply with viewers who saw their own lives reflected in it. When Roy Evans' character was written out in 2003, it marked one of the series' most emotional departures. Fans wrote letters to the BBC, expressing sadness not just for the character's death, but for losing Tony's steady presence. It was rare for a fictional death to feel so personal, but that was the power of Tony Caunter's performance. Beyond his professional achievements, Tony's colleagues often remembered his laughter. He was known for keeping spirits high on set, sharing stories between takes, and checking in on younger actors. One production assistant recalled, "He never left the room without thanking the crew. That's just who Tony was, polite, present, and grateful." As the years went on, Tony stepped back from acting, choosing to spend his later life in peace with his loved ones. But even in retirement, he continued to be celebrated at EastEnders reunions and fan events, where audiences greeted him with applause and warmth. The BBC released a statement honoring him, saying Tony Caunter's contribution to British television will never be forgotten. He helped shape a generation of storytelling with authenticity and heart. For viewers in America who followed British television, his performances were part of a shared cultural bridge. Shows like EastEnders became symbols of everyday life, love, and loss, themes that connected audiences across oceans. And Tony Caunter's gentle portrayal of Roy Evans gave those themes a face people could trust. He represented something deeply human, the quiet strength of ordinary people, the dignity of kindness, and the belief that love can still exist in complicated worlds. As the news of his passing continues to ripple through the entertainment community, old clips of Roy Evans have resurfaced online. His soft smile, his measured tone, his moments of heartbreak and hope. Watching them now feels different. It feels like saying goodbye to an old friend. For those who grew up with EastEnders, Tony Caunter wasn't just part of a show. He was part of their evenings, their families, their memories. And as we look back on his remarkable career, from the early dramas to the bustling set of Albert Square, we remember a man who lived his craft with humility and love. Tony once said, "If someone smiles because of something I've done on screen, that's enough for me." Today, countless people smile through their tears remembering him. In the quiet streets of London, the echoes of his work still linger, in the laughter of fans, in the archives of television history, and in the hearts of those who watched him bring truth to fiction. Tony Caunter's story reminds us that greatness in acting isn't measured by fame or fortune, but by the moments of honesty you leave behind. He will be remembered not only as Roy Evans of EastEnders, but as one of Britain's most gentle, enduring talents, a man who gave life to stories and heart to every role he played. May he rest in peace, surrounded by the love he gave so freely in life, and by the characters who will live forever through his art. The music world woke today to heartbreaking news. Dangelo, the legendary singer who helped shape the sound of neo-soul, has died. He was 51 years old. His family confirmed that he passed away peacefully after a private battle with cancer. "The shining star of our family has dimmed his light for us in this life," their statement read. "But his voice, his music, and his spirit will live forever." The loss sent shockwaves through fans, musicians, and those who had followed his journey from the beginning. For decades, Dangelo's sound defined an era, smooth, spiritual, and deeply human. He didn't just sing songs. He created feelings that lingered long after the last note. Born Michael Eugene Archer in Richmond, Virginia, Dangelo grew up surrounded by music and faith. His father was a Pentecostal minister, and the church became his first stage. It was there, among choirs and organs, that his voice found its soul. Even as a teenager, people said he had something rare, a gift that couldn't be taught. By his early 20s, Dangelo was already rewriting R&B. His 1995 debut album Brown Sugar introduced the world to a new sound, one rooted in old-school soul, but infused with hip-hop rhythm and raw honesty. Songs like Lady and Cruisin' brought warmth back to modern R&B at a time when the genre was losing its soul. Critics hailed him as the face of neo-soul, a movement that blended vintage groove with modern vulnerability. Then came Voodoo in 2000, a masterpiece that turned Dangelo into a cultural icon. The album's sound was deep, mysterious, and spiritual. It felt less like a collection of songs and more like a confession set to rhythm. Its standout track, Untitled, How Does It Feel?, became legendary, not just for its sultry tone, but for the vulnerability it revealed. At the peak of his fame, Dangelo seemed unstoppable. But behind the success, he wrestled with pressure, fame, and personal demons. In interviews, he spoke softly about the weight of expectations and how the image created around him didn't match the man he was inside. "I never wanted to be a sex symbol," he once said quietly. "I just wanted to make music that felt real." After Voodoo, Dangelo disappeared from the spotlight for years. Fans wondered if he would ever return. During that time, he faced struggles with addiction and isolation, battles that many never knew. Yet even in silence, his influence grew. Artists like Alicia Keys, John Legend, and Anderson .Paak all cited him as a guiding light. When he finally returned with Black Messiah in 2014, it was as if time had stood still. His voice was older, wiser, more powerful. The album carried messages of social justice, love, and redemption. It was a reflection of a man who had lived through pain and found peace through music. Rolling Stone called it a masterpiece born from struggle. News of his passing has left the music world in mourning. Questlove, his longtime friend and collaborator, wrote on social media, "There will never be another voice like his." Dangelo didn't just make music, he made people feel. He was our brother, our teacher, our soul. Singer Erykah Badu shared a short message saying, "Fly home, my friend. Your music healed us. Now rest in the light you gave." Fans around the world have flooded timelines with memories. The first time they heard Brown Sugar, the late nights listening to Untitled, the goosebumps that came with every harmony. One fan wrote, "Dangelo taught us that soul music still had a heartbeat. He gave us permission to feel." In cities across America, radio stations have begun replaying his greatest hits, not as background music, but as tributes. The soft crackle of "Send It On" and the gentle sway of "Really Love" now sound like goodbyes, reminders of how deeply he connected with listeners. Dangelo's music was never just about love. It was about truth. He sang of vulnerability, faith, and human struggle in ways that crossed generations. His sound carried echoes of Marvin Gaye and Prince, yet it was uniquely his own. Every chord, every sigh, every silence had meaning. He often said that music was his prayer, a way to speak when words failed. "When I sing," he once told an interviewer, "I feel like I'm talking directly to God." That sense of sacred honesty gave his songs a rare intimacy. In the final months of his life, Dangelo continued to write and record privately. Friends close to him say he never stopped creating, even when his health began to fade. "He was still humming melodies," one of his producers shared. Even when he couldn't speak for long, he'd smile and tap out rhythms with his hands. Music was his heartbeat. As the world mourns, his albums have surged once again on streaming charts, a quiet reminder of how deeply his art touched people. For many, listening to Voodoo or Black Messiah now feels like visiting an old friend, one who understood pain but always sang about hope. Dangelo's death leaves a space that can never truly be filled. But his legacy, that deep, soulful voice and the honesty behind it, will continue to guide generations. His songs live on as testimonies of love, struggle, and spiritual healing. Tonight, countless fans will play his records, letting that familiar voice fill the silence. And somewhere in those melodies, in the slow hum of Untitled, in the rhythm of Brown Sugar, they will find comfort, because Dangelo didn't just sing. He made people feel seen. He reminded the world that soul music is not just about sound, it's about truth. In the gentle quiet of the studio where his journey began, we can almost hear it still, that smooth, timeless voice, echoing softly through memory. Dangelo's time on earth has ended, but his message remains. Through every lyric, he taught us that vulnerability is strength, and that music can heal even the deepest wounds. May his soul find peace in the rhythm of eternity, and may his voice, the one that redefined soul, live forever in the hearts of those who listened. The film world is mourning the loss of a quiet giant. Jackie Birch, the acclaimed casting director behind more than 100 films and television productions, has passed away. She died on October 12, 2025, at the age of 74. For many in Hollywood, her name might not have been on the marquee, but her influence was everywhere. From blockbusters to comedies, from the unknown actor's first audition to the moment they became stars, Jackie Burch was there, watching, listening, and believing. Her work shaped generations of storytelling. Her eye for talent helped define what audiences would come to love on screen. She wasn't just a casting director. She was a storyteller in her own right, one who built worlds not with words but with people. Born on March 25, 1951, Jackie's journey began far from Hollywood. She originally worked as a teacher for the deaf, guided by patience and empathy, qualities that would later define her casting style. She understood emotion, communication, and the importance of expression beyond words. Those lessons stayed with her when life took an unexpected turn. A temporary job as an assistant for an executive at Universal Pictures opened a new door. What began as a fill-in position soon became a lifelong calling. Jackie had found her true home, in the heart of the film industry, where instinct and empathy meet art. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Jackie Burch became one of the most trusted names in casting. Her credits read like a list of Hollywood favorites: The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Die Hard, Predator, Coming to America, Twins, and The Running Man. Each film, different in tone and genre, shared one thing: unforgettable performances from actors who seemed born for their roles. Colleagues often said Jackie had a gift, not just for spotting talent, but for understanding people. She could see something in an actor before they saw it in themselves. Jackie had a sixth sense, one producer recalled. She didn't just fill roles. She created chemistry. Her collaborations with iconic directors like John Hughes, John Landis, and Warren Beatty defined an era of American cinema. Actors who once auditioned nervously in front of her would go on to headline films and thank her publicly years later. She never sought recognition, but those who worked with her never forgot her guidance. In a tribute posted on social media, an actor she once discovered wrote, "Jackie Burch changed my life. She believed in me when I was just another name on a list. Her kindness and insight shaped my career." For Jackie, casting was more than matching names to scripts. It was about building connections, the right energy, the right balance, the right truth between characters. She once said in an interview, "I don't look for perfection. I look for presence. When someone walks in and makes the room feel alive, that's the person." That philosophy helped her cast some of the most memorable ensembles in film history. When The Breakfast Club was released, critics praised not just the writing, but the authenticity of its young cast. Jackie had handpicked each of them, seeing beyond auditions to the human stories behind their faces. Her career spanned genres, from comedy to action, from cult classics to major studio hits. She worked with directors who demanded precision and actors who trusted her instincts completely. Behind the camera, she became known as a calm force in an often chaotic industry. Friends say she approached every project with the same quiet passion, listening first, guiding gently, and celebrating every success as if it were her own. She never chased fame, a longtime colleague said. She chased truth, and that made her one of the best. As the years passed, Jackie continued to shape Hollywood's landscape. Even in later decades, when technology changed casting forever, she remained committed to the personal touch, the one-on-one connection, the moment when an actor's vulnerability turned into art. When her passing was announced, tributes came from across the industry. Directors, producers, and actors alike shared stories of the woman who helped launch their journeys. One post read, "Jackie didn't just cast movies. She built families." Another message from a casting assistant she had mentored said, "She taught me that casting isn't about picking stars, it's about finding souls." Her legacy stretches far beyond the credits of her films. It lives in the careers she helped build, the friendships she forged, and the way she changed how Hollywood viewed talent discovery. For every famous name she cast, there were countless others she encouraged, guided, and inspired. Though she worked behind the scenes, Jackie's presence was deeply felt. Her kindness, her patience, and her ability to see potential in people made her one of the most beloved figures in the entertainment world. She brought compassion into an industry known for competition. Even after decades in the business, she never lost her humility. She often said she was simply lucky to do what she loved. "Every film feels like the first one," she once told a friend. "Every actor is a new story waiting to be told." Her passing leaves a quiet emptiness, not only in casting offices but in the creative spaces she helped nurture. Yet her work continues to echo through the films that defined generations. Every time someone laughs at Coming to America, feels the tension of Die Hard, or connects with the timeless youth of The Breakfast Club, they are feeling Jackie Burch's touch. Hollywood has lost one of its unseen architects, a woman whose vision helped shape what the world sees on screen. As the news spreads, it's clear that her influence reached far beyond film sets. For every actor she guided, for every story she helped bring to life, there's a part of her that remains, in every frame, every smile, every moment of truth captured on film. Jackie Burch once said that the best casting decisions are the ones people don't notice because the story feels so natural. That was her magic, making everything feel real, effortless, alive. Today, the industry she helped build says goodbye to one of its guiding lights. Her gift was never loud, but it was lasting. Her name might appear in small letters in the credits, yet her impact fills the screen. As we remember her life and her art, we honor not just the films she helped make, but the humanity she brought to them. Jackie Burch will be remembered as a creator of connections, a discoverer of voices, and a woman who quietly shaped the face of modern cinema. May she rest in peace, her legacy forever shining through the characters and stories she helped bring to life.